Remember the old days when your work model looked like this? Wait a minute. Most agents are still using the same old model. Well, I want to tell you about the next big thing. See, all realtors have the same challenges, and they all need some guidance to help their business explode. Lucky for you, Legacy Group International offers some new tools to help you succeed without all the nonsense of the old-fashioned way. Look, you get more than just commissions. As a realtor, you can earn extra revenue on each closing. But that's not all. You can create a residual income stream by attracting your agent friends to the program. Now, for most agents, marketing is like driving without a destination. LGI will captain the journey for you and provide done-for-you marketing from people who know what they're talking about. They'll help develop your professional brand and keep you relevant on the social media superhighway. Listen, we know agents have worked under the same old business model for a long time. You go from hero to zero, starting over every month. So hey, maybe you could start your own company, but you have to make this big investment. And as the boss, you got no time to enjoy life. So you can keep chasing your tail with that old-fashioned model, or you can choose the more forward-thinking LGI model. Here's the difference. With us, you get the leadership you need to build a business with no boundaries and little expense. You can focus on what makes you money. How? Look, use the power of LGI. So, would you like to be a part of the fastest growing real estate company in the world, or would you rather stay on that hamster wheel? Join this worldwide community of achievers and enjoy the countless benefits of LGI. Contact Legacy Group International today and start swimming with the big fish. Enriching the real estate industry across the nation and around the globe. This is the LGI World Network.
Next, it's Scott Lewis Live with your host, Scott Lewis, and his guest, top influencer Tom Truong. It's all here on Scott Lewis Live,
and it starts right now.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Scott Lewis, CEO and founder of Legacy Group International. And hey, we got our first show behind us. This is our second live show. And I am super jazzed about today's guest, the one and only Tom Truong, coming up here in a second. I tell you what, this guy has influenced more people and enriched more people's lives than just about anyone I know. He's done this, that, and everything in real estate. And we could talk about a lot of things today. And obviously there's a lot going on in the market, and we're going to provide you with some great value today. If you're a real estate agent, you're building teams, or you're growing your business, wouldn't you like to know how to use other people's money to do that? Well, we're going to show you how, because this guy has got it down. So welcome to the show, Tom. How are you today, sir?
Scott, I'm doing great. What a great intro you've got there. That got me all fired up, man.
Oh, are you excited? You're always fired up. What are you talking about?
It's even more fired up being online with you, Scott. Love it.
Well, let's rock and roll, man. So you have been on the move. I know you've been moving around. You've been flying from city to city and place to place, as you always do. And you're always, traveling and making things happen. You're quite the entrepreneur in the real estate world. And so I really want to dig in for those people that don't know Tom Truong, because they should know Tom Truong, who Tom Truong is. I mean, you've built teams. You were the past president of ARIA, which is one of the largest real estate organizations in the world. You've created foundations. You've done Airbnbs. You've done investments. You've run a brokerage. And now you've built a massive team at EXP Realty. And, several thousand agents now and growing. And wow, you've done so much. But for those of you that don't, for those people out there that don't know you, I really want to rewind the clock, because your history and how you got here is just, I love hearing the story myself. So I want to hear it again. I'm a little, I guess selfish,
Okay.
but it gets me all excited every time I hear it. So give us because there's a long version and the short version, and you definitely should hear the long version from Tom at some point. Maybe he'll direct you there. But how did you end up getting to this great country that we're in today?
All right. How about I'll give you the 5-minute version, Scott?
All right, perfect.
So yeah, Tom Truong, born in Vietnam, Saigon, Vietnam, and it's in 1975, April 30th to be exact, was when the United States of America officially announced that they were leaving the country. The embassy was had been evacuating for the past a week or so, and April 30th was the final day. My family, I was 7 years old back then, Scott, and my family, my father works as a railroad engineer in Vietnam. For the South Vietnamese army. And he got wind that they were pretty much leaving. So for 2 days earlier, on the 28th and the 29th, we tried to go out, but he wasn't high ranking enough to get us out on the helicopters or had a reservation on a boat somewhere, right? The last day came, and it was push, shove our way up to a boat, man.
Total chaos, right? I mean,
total chaos. If you see those footage from Vietnam, just look April 30th, 1975. You see the massive chaos, and I'll still remember it today as a 7-year-old. Well, when we got to the ship, there was no more room to go. So I mean, it was chaos. So my mom, Scott, basically says, Tom. So she left with me and my 5 youngest brothers and sisters. There's 8 kids in our family. Okay. My 2 older brothers did not want to go because they had attempted the first 2 days and they basically threw in the towel and gave up. My father also gave up. He says, you're crazy. We're not going to get out of here. Just accept it. My mom says, no way. We're not accepting this. So we got to the docks in Saigon, and desperate times calls for desperate measures. And my mom said, Tom, I need you to climb up those ropes. If you imagine, these are ropes. Climb up there.
Right on the side of the boat.
On the side of the boat. Climb up the boats. And people are like scratching and pulling each other down. I'm pulling myself up. And then when I got up the top, my younger brother, Jim, climbs up. He's 5 years old. And then my younger sister climbs up, 4 years old. By the time we get up there, there's 3 of us. And now my mom, before we get up, my mom says, Tom, when you get up there, scream for your mom and scream for your family, because they don't want 3 kids without their moms on that boat.
Right. And it worked.
That's right. So we screamed for them, and they finally, my mom and my other brother and sisters finally got it.
Really scary for her. Oh my God, what a huge risk! I can't imagine.
She left everything behind, Scott. Left everything behind to come to this great land of America, the land of opportunity, and that was the beginning of our journey here in this free land. Fortunately for us, a church in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, sponsored us. A church and a family we will forever be grateful for them. They took us in for a year in Ohio, and my oldest sister, Angie, repeated her senior year in high school because she didn't really know English. When she graduated high school, my mom says, hey, where is she going to college? And the answer was, well, we don't go to college in this town. Most people grow up to be farmers. That's the community. And my mom graciously said, thank you so much, but I did not leave everything behind. I want to give my kids an education. And we ended up in that summer, we packed up our bags one more time, hopped on a Greyhound bus, and made our way to Brighton, Massachusetts, where we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with basically 7 of us, 6 kids, and my mom. Fortunately, my mom wrote letters to everyone that she knew, and a young doctor who was just in his internship had a 2-bedroom apartment for him, his wife, and his young daughter. They retreated to 1 bedroom, and my family stayed in the 2nd bedroom, the living room, the dining room, sometimes the toilet, baby, wherever it take. Wow. Wow. That was the beginning of the American dream for us.
That's just craziness. And I know there's a lot more to that story, and you've shared that with me. And wow, I mean, how impactful that is for you and your family. And I've met some of your other family members, but that's just, I can't imagine. And I know that you've shared with me that your mom in passing
Yeah,
left you with a challenge.
she did. We didn't know she was going to pass. So, probably about 10 or so years ago, we had an opportunity to visit her in Texas. My brother's oldest brother, Sonny, by then had made it to the United States and lived in Texas. And her health was really deteriorating. So she moved from Hawaii back to Texas. And that summer, we went down to visit with her. I remember by then I had done okay, Scott. And the reason I say that is because in the Asian family, most Asian family parents want their kids to grow up to be doctors, lawyers, attorneys, engineers. I was one of two who did not have anything beyond a college degree. Okay, everyone else had high education, and she really never said, what a great job you are. I'm so proud of you. Blah blah blah. Well, by that point in time, I had built my brokerage. I had time, I had money, I had freedom, and I'd never missed the family reunion. When there was a reason for family to get together, I was the first guy to say, "Yep, I'm there." Didn't have to call a boss, didn't have to check my bank account, didn't have to say how much vacation time I have left, right? She recognized that. And before we left to come back home in Boston, this is about 10 days before she passed, she says, "Tom, I'm very proud of you." And that's hard for me to tell that story every time. So she said,
so just take a second right there, because I know how impactful that has been on your life, because I've seen you share this story before, even from stage.
Yeah.
And so, but I do know that the result that it's created is pretty phenomenal. So now that you got a little break there, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So she said, "Hey, will you do one more thing for the rest of your life? Take care and help at least 100 other people become personally and financially free like you." And that was the rest of my life. Why I love what I do, why I wake up and do what I do every day, Scott.
And so that has driven you to help lots of people. And I know that's happened, and the number's way over 100. So your mom is looking down on you with a big smile right now.
Yes, sir.
And that's pretty exciting. So real estate. So you took that, because you weren't in real estate at that time, right?
No.
You were working as a financial advisor in the corporate world. You had a corporate job and working corporate job. What made you make the move to real estate?
Sure. So for the first 13 years of my life, I worked in the insurance world, right? Publicly traded insurance. And I'd made my way up to the area chief financial officer and did that for 13 years in the insurance business, Scott. And crunched the numbers, made the shareholders a lot of money. By the time I left the company, Arthur J. Gallagher was the third largest publicly traded insurance firm in the world, and they still hold that position today. The reason I left is because at the end, my job was crunching numbers, helping shareholders grow value, and the cleanup man. My job was to basically let people go, to downsize people. And that was not so fun at the end anymore, because as a young kid, I didn't care who I stepped on to get to that corporate ladder, to climb the corporate ladder, to make it in the business world, right? But as I got older, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'd rather help people rather than hurt people. And I left that business to become an entrepreneur, to really help folks build their businesses and build their lives and not crush them.
Yeah. Fast forward now. Today, you are in the world of real estate. You've done a lot of different things in real estate, as we talked about earlier. But when we said, what are we going to name this show? I said, what are you most proud of, or what do you want to talk about? And it was the OPM, baby. Other people's money. And everybody wants to know how to leverage other people's money in the world of real estate. And I know you do it better than most. So first of all, what does that mean to leverage other people's money?
Sure. Other people's money. It came from a book. I'm sure most people in the real estate business have read this book maybe once, if not 3 times, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? By Robert Kiyosaki. And that's where I learned that concept. And that's why I've been practicing since. Why would you take 100% of your money to buy your property and use all that 100% to yield? Most people would be happy yielding 8-9% return on their money. Well, if you could leverage other people's money and instead of putting 100% down, how about put 20% down? And if you get really good, you might be able to put just 10% down to buy, instead of one property with 100%, buy 10 properties using 10% each and using the compound interest to leverage, right? And still yield 8, sometimes 16s. My investments these days, Scott, on the Airbnb side, are yielding 30+% return cash on cash after I pay all of the interest income and everything else. So that's a wonderful cash flow to have that becomes somewhat passive over time.
For someone that doesn't know how to do that, or that's never done that before, what's step one? What does someone need to do? I mean, obviously you got to find a piece of property, but even before, to get prepared for that purchase, what does one need to do to get ready for that?
Yeah. First, so let's start at the very basic steps of housing, renting, right? Let's say as fast as you can. Anybody would tell you, get out of renting. Why rent when you can own? So the first step is make sure you start to build your credit, your credit score, build your FICO score, get it above 680 would be preferable to get premium financing and lowest interest rates. And then, of course, save for your down payment. Okay. And then buy your first home, Scott. The reason why the 30-year fixed mortgage for a first-time home buyer is the lowest among all rates is because it's the safest investment that any banker can make. So I would say buy your first home as fast as you can. And you don't have to buy your dream home, buy a starter home. And you don't even have to live in it by yourself. If you're renting and you have 3 other roommates, well, why not buy a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom? And for a couple of years, still take in roommates. You own the home, you're building equity. Your roommates are paying rent no matter what. So
Right.
Leverage the 3 roommates' rents to help you pay down your mortgage and build equity. And from there, if you can really swing it.
That's just common sense.
It's common sense, but a lot of people don't have common sense. It's one of the most uncommon things, Scott.
That's true.
Right? And then leverage that, right? Leverage that to buy your second home, buy your third home, so on and so forth.
And so when you're looking to leverage that money, you're saying most investment properties 20% down, right? I mean, that's standard.
Pretty standard.
But I know you've been able to do it with 10%. Is there a trick to paying 10% in this market, or is it just all about your lender?
It's about your lender. And of course, the trick is a track history over time. When you show that you've got a proven track history of making investments work and having tax returns to show it, that the lenders know that, hey, you are a safe bet. Most hard money lenders will loan you just 10% on the acquisition, and they'll give you up to 100% on renovations. Right? If you're a really A credit risk, you can get the money as cheap as 10% for a short period of time, 10% on the purchase and interest is what I'm trying to say. And they'll finance the construction or the renovations for you. Once you buy it and you stabilize the property, that stabilization might last anywhere between 6 months to, let's say, 18 months. Once you stabilize it and you've got 1 or 2 tax returns under your belt, you can then refinance and get the mortgage down to half, to 10% to 5% or whatever, to 6%. Well, these days interest is about 7%, but it's still worth it. It's still worth it because you're building equity in between. And as a property owner, make sure you do the math after tax, because as renters, you don't have much to write off. Right. As a homeowner, you've got a lot of things you can write off.
So let's talk about that. As a homeowner of an investment property, obviously you can write off the interest on your personal home. Can you write off the interest on an investment property?
100%. You can write off the mortgage interest on the second property. You can write off all of your operating expenses, meaning your utilities, your landscaping, your snow plowing. I mean, pretty much anything that makes that house work. Yeah, the water bills, the sewer bills, all of it.
Right. So you talked about Airbnb. I mean, that's one strategy, right, for getting the return. But before we go into that, when you're sourcing or looking for that first house, when someone's out there and they go, okay, I got my credit up, Tom, I've got, enough money for 20% down of an investment property, 200, 300, 400, 500,000, whatever. Obviously the money's made in the buy, not the sell, right?
Yes.
It's always been said, if you want to make money, you make money when you buy stuff, not when you sell it. The sell is just where you see the return, but you made the money when you bought it, right? And so it's key to find the right piece of property, especially on that first one. How do you know? How do you know? How does Tom Truong know when you're out? Because you see dozens of properties. I know, like me, people are probably coming to you all the time. Going, I got this investment, I got this property, and most of the time, I'm sure you say no. But there's in that one that you go, oh, I like that. What is it that makes you go, that's the one?
Okay, so know your market. What does that mean? Well, first you got to associate with a great mortgage broker who can help you run the numbers fairly quickly, or just learn how to run it yourself. Folks, there's many mortgage calculators out there. You can find them anywhere, right? But learn how to crunch the numbers and then learn the market. What do I mean by learn the market? If you're a licensed agent and you have access to MLS, then you need to learn how to run your comparative market analysis. Your absorption rate for the rentals in that marketplace, how much the rentals are going for. And last but not least, get out there and see the properties. Go see, hey, if a 3-bedroom home comes up for rent and it's a single family, this is how much you can get. Let's say $2,000 for a 3-bedroom home across America. If it's a 3-bedroom apartment complex, you might only get $1,600. Well, know your market, right? Know your areas. Get your daily multiple listing feeds on what's happening, the properties that are up for sale, as well as the properties that go on for rent. Once you see that, then back in the purchase price, along with whatever down payment you're putting down, whether it's 10% or 20% down, figure out what your PITI is, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, generally speaking, and see if that's going to be less than what you would get for rental value. And the bigger that delta is, the bigger the deal is for you to earn an income.
And so when you're looking at, so you look at that and you go, okay, this is what my delta is. It's within my range where I think I can make a good profit. And then you go, okay, I can rent it, I could Airbnb it, or I could fix it and flip it and sell it.
That's right. Yeah.
So you've got choices to make at that point. And depending on the property and the revenue that it can create, you make that decision, I'm assuming, right? So for you, what does that decision look like? How do you decide if you're going to rent it, Airbnb it, or flip it and sell it?
That's a great question. So I make that decision after I've walked through the property, see what kind of location it is. Is that location conducive to having Airbnb guests, or is it more conducive for long-term rentals? Or am I buying it deep enough where I can actually flip it and make quick cash after I pay my short-term capital gains, right? And we're getting sort of complicated. I don't even pay short-term gains anymore. There's a way to buy and sell property without ever having to pay for it by deferring it through 1031 exchanges and everything else. But we're not going to talk about that right now. But it's really finding the right property first and then evaluating which way will it go, Scott. Like you said, is it going to be traditional rentals? Is it going to be Airbnb property, or is it going to be a flip? And by the way, my biggest mistakes that I've made is when I went in thinking I'm going to do it as a long-term rental, and I tried to do it as a flip, and I changed my mind, and I didn't run the numbers the right way the first time based on what the exit strategy is. So that's my biggest advice for the folks who's listening out there, is decide before you purchase a property what you're going to do with it, and then roll with it and stick to that plan, because your market data probably won't change that fast. Most people change tracks because they made a mistake on the first one and they think they can correct it on the second one or the third one. Well, the reality is if the second or third choice was the best choice to start with, that's what should have been your decision in the first place.
So what I hear you saying is when you're identifying the property, it's not just about running the numbers, which are important, but it's also running the numbers and putting them up against your strategy. And what is that strategy? And obviously market changes can change your strategy, right?
Yep.
Upturn. I mean, if the market goes nuts and you need cash, or you got another opportunity, then you can take and sell that property because the market's hot, and use it to go maybe buy 2 properties. So what would you say if someone is out there going, Tom, it sounds great, but I don't have the money and the confidence to get into this game?
If every real estate coach or every experienced real estate investor will tell you, if you're watching the show, it's not about having the money, it's about finding the deal. The hardest thing is to find the deal, because I promise you, once you find the deal, you just get the word out, and guys like Scott, guys like me will invest in you if the deal is solid enough and they believe in you, right? I'm vetting deals all the time, Scott, right? And I have invested in other people when they find a deal and they're short on the cash. So don't let that deter you from going out and doing the deal, right? Because money can be found on the street.
Strategies, again, for using other people's money, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So you find a property.
Yep.
And you need 20% down, and you don't have it, but you know it's a great deal. So you go to Tom, or you go to Bill or John or Susie, but you go to someone that's an investor. And how do you know that, make sure that you're not going to get screwed when you set that deal up? What are some strategies for setting that deal up so that everyone wins, so the investor doesn't get screwed, so that the bird dogger, the person that found the deal, I have some strategies for that, but I'd love to hear what yours are.
Sure. So let's say you find a deal, and let's call it, you find a deal for $1 million. You should use some round figures, okay? And you need to raise $200,000 for the 20% down, and you don't have it, okay? So assuming for the moment that this is a flip, and this is what I did early on to really accumulate some cash flow and some experience, was I turned triple families, or 3 family units, into 3 condominiums. Okay, this is extremely popular between, let's call it 2002 to 2008 or so, before the market crashed in my market in Massachusetts. That was where I made my bread and butter. So if I bought a triple decker, a 3 family for $1 million, and if I turn them into 3 condominiums, Scott, it would be worth, let's say, $1.5 million. They'll be worth $500,000 each instead of $333,000 standing on their own as a 3 family, right? And so let's say I would buy for $1 million, and I would need $100,000 to renovate, and then my after repair value is worth $1.4 million. There's $400,000 to be made there. Okay. How I would do it, I would suggest you go out and find your private money, your friends and your family, and the people closest to you. Hopefully believe in your skill set to lend you that down payment of $200,000. And usually you got to give them a premium for that. So give them a premium of like whatever, 15% return interest. Okay. But they have to go in second position, because the bank is going to come in and lend you that 80%, and the bank wants their first position. And then your friends and family stays in second position, and your profits come out as third position. You're the last guy to ever get paid.
Right. but you have no risk other than your time, which is a great way to get started for someone that's looking to get in to real estate. And then you learn so much after doing one or two, and
Yeah.
you get more confidence, right? And so, and you can set up an LLC with your investor. So like you said, they get the second, pay back their interest, and then you split the revenue or the proceeds.
Yeah.
So you could set it up where the LLC owns the property, and then when the sale of the property happens, maybe the investor owns 50 and you own 50, or 60-40 or 70-30, however you want to do it, however you negotiate. But you're going to get paid when it sells, and they're going to get their money back. So,
and by the way, in the beginning, I was paying my friends and family more like 25% on their money. So, that was so much better than what they would get in the bank account. And they know that I'm a real estate professional. I have all the data, the statistics, the comparables showing all of that.
And for those agents that don't know, I mean, going back again, that don't know how to source or find these deals. I mean, obviously one way you can do it, the old fashioned way, is you can go out and knock on doors,
Sure.
right? You go by and see a house that's run down in a really good neighborhood. It sticks out like a sore thumb, right? They haven't mowed their yard in 3 months. Good chance that they're behind on their payments or something's happened. You knock on the door. What do you say?
Hi, my name is Tom Truong. I'm a local real estate investor, and I'm looking to buy in this neighborhood. I have cash. Are you interested in selling? That's pretty simple. I mean, we sent out cards like that all the time. We are professional investors, and we want to buy your home with cash, no strings attached, as is, where is, with all faults. And we'll even pay the closing costs and your attorney's fees. That was what I learned when I owned the We Buy Ugly Houses franchise, Scott. I owned that franchise for quite a long time. And that was pretty much a simple pitch that we gave. And we showed people, hey, it's, you're going to trade a quick cash deal, discounted purchase price for no headaches. Take what you need with you, leave the rest behind, meaning you don't have to fix up anything. We'll just take it the way it is.
And just curious, if you knocked on 10 doors and had with that pitch, you think you'd get one deal, two deals? No deal?
I know. I think it's going to be more than that. I think it's more going to be like 25 doors might get you one deal.
25 doors get you a deal. So if you knocked on 25 doors, then you find somebody that's a motivated seller, and you get to them before they take it to foreclosure or before they get to a real estate agent. Your timing is perfect. And that's where the money's made, right? You're getting that wholesale value.
And you can increase those percentages by I would say by 1 out of 12 doors. You had the right number there. If you went in saying, okay, put your flipping hat on, flippers hat on, where you're going to buy at a deep discount. But they say, and then when you get there, let's say then they're not going to sell it deep enough, and that with just a few amount of dollars that they can actually clean up the property and list it on the open market in MLS. A lot of agents make the mistake that says, well, okay, first I was going to buy it for X minus 10. Now I'm going to buy it for X. And they just said you did a bait and switch on them. So right. what we do is wait a minute. I have a partner real estate agent who can actually help coach you through the program and have it cleaned up and listed and get you more money. Because if I was going to buy it, I don't want to list it. I need to buy it wholesale. I need to flip it. I don't want it to show on public records that sold something else. But my buddy Scott Lewis is an experienced listing agent. Why don't he come in? And I know you might not have the money, but we have programs where there are lenders who would come in and actually renovate your property for you and take the renovations money at the close. And so if you did that, right?
You want to know how to get more listings? We just showed you how to get more listings.
Right. And so you can either flip or a listing, and you get a listing referral fee when someone else from your office or from your team or something. But don't
find a partner, right? Find a partner, work together, go knock on houses, put together a marketing campaign where you're both, working together and sharing that. I love that. That's great, Tom. That's good stuff.
So we did that a lot. We did that a lot when we were actively building the flipping houses and listing business. Yeah.
And so you actually not only were investing in buying properties, but it was feeding your real estate business because you're getting active listings, which then leads to buyers because that's the way it works.
That's right. And the programs that I just mentioned about companies coming in and renovating without the homeowner having to come up with the cash, those are newer programs, right? But that wasn't available for me back in the day. Now they are. At EXP, we have a program just like that. Yep.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So that's good stuff, Tom. I think probably there's people out there that have questions. So if anybody has a question, feel free to pop in and ask it. In the meantime, Tom, what are you looking to accomplish now in real estate? I mean, you've done a lot. I mean, we could go through all the different endeavors. I know you're actively building a huge team now.
Yeah.
Is there something within that keeps your fire going, or are you looking to do something else? Where's Tom Truong's brain going right now?
Tom Truong's goals and brains will always stay in the real estate arena, right? So I still have my database of loyal buyers and sellers we do repeat business here in the greater Boston area. So we have a small sales team that still handles all of that, Scott. I'm active in helping to secure the listing. I don't do open houses anymore, but I'm active when an offer comes in to help negotiate the offer and deliver the offer. And then the rest of the team takes over and gets it to closing. So still do real estate sales but then more, and then still have investment properties, traditional long-term rentals, continue to add those, add Airbnb rentals, continue to do that. And then most importantly is the EXP revenue share model. For those who don't know what that is, talk to Scott about it, talk to me about it, and we'll share with you. We have the ability under the platform that EXP created for us to help other agents become financially free and create residual income as a result of the production of the team that you help build. Okay. And so my goal is to continue to build revenue share as well, Scott, as a fourth stream of income. And then, of course, I've got stocks there, but none of that is major. It's just all real estate related. And, I wake up every day. I think you do too, looking for the entrepreneur, the real estate entrepreneur who's looking for us to achieve personal and financial freedom. And the third freedom is the location freedom. Personal, financial, and location freedom. Being able to work wherever we want to work. Scott, for the past 2.5 weeks, I've been traveling. Right, everywhere. I'm finally home, sitting in my home office here. But that didn't stop our business from running and staying profitable.
So if you guys are a real estate agent, or somebody looking to buy or sell in the greater Boston area, Tom and his team are there. You can find them easily on you can Google Team Tom Truong, or you can I'm sure you can find him online. Last thing, Tom. And then we'll wrap this up. Interest rates.
Yeah.
7%, maybe 6.5%, maybe 7.5%.
Okay.
The market's changing.
Yep.
Some agents are freaking out.
Yep. Other
agents are loving it, depending on what their business model is, right? What's the best advice? Because you were in this in 2008. Most agents that weren't here in 2008, 2009, and maybe a little bit in 2010, if they got into real estate in the last 12, think about it, in the last 12 years, if they got into the real estate game in the last 12 years, they have not seen a down market.
No, they've never been taught to have the conversation with the seller about price reductions.
That's craziness, right? Unbelievable. But here we are.
Right.
You don't know how to talk to, like you said, a seller about price reductions. If you don't know how to get listings in this market.
Yeah.
Give us the best advice that if your brother or your daughter, you have two beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
God forbid they come to you tomorrow and say, I want to get in real estate.
Right.
Right. But I want to be a real estate agent. What's the best advice you would give them right now today to go out and build their business in these market conditions?
So it's twofold, Scott. For those who are fortunate enough to understand the revenue share model, my best advice is go out and help so many other agents find this model, to leverage it, to help secure their family's future with the revenue share model. The other advice is, I have this motto: don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate, then wait. Because real estate will always outperform the stock market in the long run. Look back the history of time. The appreciation of real estate value has always outperformed the stock market, okay? Even through the downturns. Scott, it's funny, you talk about real estate. And how do you do it? My biggest advice is what we talked about earlier, is learn the market. Master the market. You need to farm a market where you know it inside and out. So when an opportunity rears its head, you know to strike, and to strike fast. When everyone else hesitates, you will find that deal quick. And that's where I've always made my money. I have the ability to strike fast. Okay. Scott, back in March, I went live at a real estate event for one of our association, and they asked me to predict the interest rate. Back in March, the interest rate was still at 3.5% for the 30-year fixed mortgage. Okay. I said by the end of the year, it's going to be at 7%. People thought I was nuts, right? But I boldly said that I disagreed with the other 7 people on the panel. They all said, oh, it's going to be stagnant. I like, no. I went last. I reserved to go last for that reason. I said it's going to be 7% at the end of this year. I think 8% in 2023, 9% in 2024, 10% in 2025 for the 30-year fixed mortgage first-time home buyer. Why? During the COVID, we printed over $4 trillion over $4 trillion out of thin air. And then when you add on all of the ancillary money that was also printed up, I think it equated to over $7 trillion. The economy, the government has to make money back. It has to make that back. They only have one way to make money, and that's taxation. And the biggest taxation is interest rates. So one way or another, they got to make it back. So how does that? So if that's true, Tom, why would I buy real estate now? Because if you buy real estate now at 7%, it's cheaper than buying real estate 3 years from now when I say it's going to be 10%. And if you're renting right now, especially in the Boston market, rental cost, Scott, has gone up 17% year over year for the past 2 years.
That's incredible.
So as a buyer of real estate, as an owner of real estate, you're making money on money again, OPM.
I heard that. That's just crazy. That's good stuff. And so that's the buying, the investing. You just told everybody, over time, it outperforms the stock market, and you don't lose money buying real estate. If you're an agent out there today and you're going out getting listings, what do you say to someone that says, man, I'm going to wait till the market comes back and wait till interest rates go back down a little bit before I put my house on the market?
So
you just told us what you would say, but go ahead.
Sure. Well, Scott, I think it's to really dive deep to the answer. We really need to peel back that onion and understand that seller for a second, right? Does that seller is that seller sitting on a lot of equity already? And why are they moving, right? So let's say if that seller is moving because they're living in a 6,000 square foot home, and they're empty nesters, and they only need 2,000 square foot home, and they've got $500,000 of built-in equity already, even at the reduced sales rate, well, what is the cost? What is the time value of money, or that cost of money of that $500,000 sitting in their home versus taking that $500,000 and investing in it somewhere else? Never mind if they wait the market out, they're going to keep paying all this extra expenses for a large home for what purpose, right? So what? You gotta pull it out. But if you're a younger family and you don't really move on, and you're new in your mortgage, you don't have much equity at all, and if you sell and you earn nothing, then you're right. Maybe you gotta stick it out, right? So it really depends who the seller is and what their situation is, because what else can you do with that money other than having it sit in your home, not earning anything?
Right.
And over the next 3 years, if interest rates keeps going up, then the equity might not be as high in terms of appreciation value.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And this has been a great show, Tom. I'm so glad you came on our second show. Such great information for real estate agents, or anyone really that's a little bit concerned about the economy or concerned about inflation or where this market is going. They got to feel better today after watching this show. And you're still on your mission. I know you're out there helping agents every day, doing what your mom asked you to do, and that brings me a lot of joy just seeing you doing that.
It's pure joy, Scott. It's like for us, it's not even it's not work anymore. I mean, I look forward to just helping. I look forward to meeting the next real estate entrepreneur and pouring into them, right? And that's
you've poured into me, and you've poured into this show. So we thank you so much today for being here. Thanks for taking your time. If you're an agent or anyone looking to buy or sell property in the greater Boston area, or for that matter, anywhere, because this guy has a team in every city in the country. I mean, one of the largest real estate teams in the world, Team Tom Truong. So if you need a referral or you need to refer to a great agent, he can hook you up. So reach out to Tom. He's got fantastic agents on his team all over the U.S. and around the world now. So thanks again for your time, Tom.
You got it. Hey, Scott, one more thing. Can I teach you with one more thing?
Yes, please do.
Watch this, man. So on Thursday, it's my birthday. October 27th this Thursday is my birthday. Guess what I just might buy for myself?
Oh boy. I don't know. You got me thinking now. What color is it?
It's green, it's sandy, it's gray, it's an island.
What? Come on.
What?
All right. So
I'm looking at buying an island.
Where's the island?
I can't tell you right now, man, because I don't want anyone else to compete with this island I'm buying.
So Tom Truong is buying an island. I love it.
All right, and you're going to be one of the
fantasy island. And we're going to party on Fantasy Island.
Using OPM, leverage to buy an island, right? To use it as my vacation home.
Investor, I'm all in. I want an island.
All right. Well, you know what? So I shared this with our CFO, who says, you know who he is, who says he's in. I shared it with our CEO. He says, Tom, if you put that under agreement, you tell me what it is. And then our CEO of Verbella. Those three guys are all fired up about it.
That's awesome. Well, I know you can't put it on the YouTube, but we can talk about it later. So I'm going to call you.
You call me.
That's good stuff. Well, thanks again, Tom. Tell Marissa hello, and you have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.
All right, Scott. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Bye.
This live show. We are here. Don't forget the subscribe channel if you want to hear more stuff like Tom Truong in the future. And we look forward to seeing you same time next week. Have a blessed week.